Hello everyone, this is Chompsky. Happy Saturday. Merry Christmas. We're 3 days out from Christmas. It is, I think it's what is it, the 15th? 21st? Yeah, 21st. I was gonna say, yeah, we're just a handful of days from Christmas, and if you're not a follower of us on X, jump on there now, follow us, like the posted tweet. You will enter for a chance to win a free lifetime license for the Chompsky Bands Pro. If you don't have it, if you do have it, I mean, you can also exchange it for an indicator of lesser or equal value, or you can gift it to someone else. We're doing that giveaway on Christmas Day, and I'll take a week afterwards and try to hunt you down if you do win. This video is actually going to be over the Chompsky Bands Pro. It's going to be a brief overview of some of the features, the filters, how they work, and some of the logic behind them. I want to kind of put this out there in a better format at some point, but I figured as of right now, there's been so many requests for video information that I would like to put something out there. So bear with me as I continue to try to make more videos, but as of right now, this is about as good as I can do in a short amount of time. It takes a long time to make these videos, and it's just not something I've put a lot of effort in the past, so I'm facing a learning curve on that. So bear with me. Alright, so on the screen you should see a disclaimer. I also have disclaimers on the website as well. Scroll to the very bottom. I highly recommend you review these. This is not financial information, and these indicators are not going to guarantee you profit. I do hope and pray that they do help you get to a profitable state. However, trading is very hard, and it's not something that most people can pick up overnight. These are indicators that I've developed mostly to begin with for myself. I began sharing them on TradeSaber's Discord a while back on some of them, and a lot of people messaged me and asked me to make indicators individually for them, and then they asked me to also do stuff that I ended up just kind of compiling into my own theories and own ways of doing stuff, and came up with my own indicators to help me. It took thousands of hours to get here, and I figured I'd put them on the market for a reasonable price. I don't feel like my stuff's overpriced compared to a lot of people. Some of it might not make sense at first. When you dig into it, hopefully it starts to look a little clearer, and you can kind of see where I'm going with this stuff, and maybe it'll help you out. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I do offer a week free trial on my indicators, so you can really try it before you buy it. Hopefully you spend a good amount of time stress testing it, playing with it, see if it makes sense, and if it does, then consider buying it. If not, then don't purchase it. I don't want you to buy it. I know a few people purchased these indicators just to help me out, and I really do appreciate that. That's super awesome. It's not necessary, though. I'd rather you be happy with your purchase, so let's get into it. If you open the guide, which is posted on the Discord and on the website, I believe. It might be an older version still on the website. I've been trying to keep up with the updates on there. I usually hit the Discord first, so if you really want to look for the most up-to-date things, look at the Discord first. It should have the most up-to-date of all the things, so let's go ahead and jump into just a few of these things. I think some of you have probably not been here. Some of you have. I know you have, because you sent me messages telling me how helpful this was. So, but for those who haven't, let's get into this. We have a couple introduction pages here that I know a lot of people skip over this page right here. But I highly recommend pushing just a little bit of time into this page just alone, so you can kind of get an overview of what signals are in the bands. And I'm going to break that down right now for you. So, as you can see, I've color coordinated these different signal types. You have a first reversal entry and a second reversal entry. And then you have 3 momentum trade signals. Now, the reversal signals should be pretty self-explanatory. Those are going to go when the bands change colors from red to green. And it's basically telling you there could be a reversal signal coming up, and it doesn't mean there's always going to be a good reversal signal, but it does mean that the bands are probably going to throw one. And so you will have these bands change these colors, and then it'll turn like a purplish color, and then it'll turn red is what'll happen. And on the opposite end, it'll that's for shorts if it's getting into an overbought scenario. We'll get into that more here in a minute, but the same thing for reversals, but it'll turn to a lighter green and then a darker, deeper green when it's looking like it's getting oversold. And so the way this works, the way this is laid out, you have a first signal that will trigger, and we'll show you a picture of that here in a second. And then if that fails, it does not hit its target, or the band exit, you will get a second, which will be 2 triangles, a second entry. And a lot of times the second entries are going to be a higher probability. It's based off of Pat's, or actually Al Brooks, to be more accurate, trading theory that the market will try and attempt to do something twice. And most of the time, the first attempt will fail, and the second attempt is a higher probability. And remember, this is just a theory, but it does play out to be true on a lot of time frames and a lot of charts. And so it's good to kind of know that that's a thing in the market anyway. So you're kind of aware of how things work, because you'll see a lot of times different signals will have that first attempt get stopped out just to see another attempt go, and it'll run. And that's kind of where you're looking at this when you see those second attempts. And so that's the theory in a really, really fast general sense of what these second entry signals are. And then you have momentum. And these are reversals, as it says. And then you have a momentum set of signals. Now, these 3 signal types, 2 of them are based solely off of, well, not solely, but mostly off the MACD. And so you have a 0 line cross of the MACD, and you'll also have continuation signals of when the MACD crosses. And the way that works is simply, if you ever use the MACD, you'll see that it has a 2 line cross on it. And what you're looking for is that MACD to cross once, twice, etc., and generally see the green will cross the red for a long, or the red will cross above the green for a short. It's pretty basic. And so when you see those signals cross, that's kind of where you're getting those signals from. And you have the option to turn these off, and I tend to turn these off. I just don't use them. I don't see a lot of value, but a lot of people ask for them, so I went ahead and put them in there. It's from an older indicator I made where people, they were making pretty good money off of those signals just without any other filters on them. So I'm not going to knock anyone for using them. I think they have potential. But me, I tend to lean a little more towards the band momentum signals, and I want to show you particularly why I lean into those signals. Now, before we actually show the signals, I want to show just a few of these filters and the way I've color coordinated them. Pink are solely for reversals, and the blue are going to be universal. They can cover both. And then you have the golden ones here, and this is just going to cover momentum. And this is how many filters are built in that you can get in there and edit on the bands. So you have a pretty wide variety of signal types, and you have a pretty wide variety of filters to use on those signal types. And the reason I've done that is because I actually use different signals depending on how the market structure is at that time. And there are some times where the market structure is going to be choppy or kind of range bound and just favors maybe reversal signals more. It might be a smaller range, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to tweak out these reversal signals and look for these. And then there'll be times where the momentum is clearly in play, and I'll go in and tune out sharp momentum signals, and I'll let those work their way. And I use these filters kind of in the same thought process. I want to filter out different things depending on the market, how it's acting. The ADX, for example, if it's kind of a mixed bag, it's just not trending the way I want it to, I might look more for the ADX to come in and kind of hold my hand on my trade. So I have a little better quality signal on these momentums, or in the opposite, if it's just strongly trending and that ADX is useless, I'll turn it down. And that's kind of my thought process, just in a nutshell. So All right, so now that we've looked at this page here pretty thoroughly, I would like to jump onto the chart and take a quick look as well. I know there's a ton of stuff talking about each signal type in the guide, and I do encourage everyone to get in and really read in here. It does explain the theory and the some of the logic I've used for what is creating a reversal signal or what is creating a momentum signal. And I can't tell you the exact formula on some of this stuff because it did take me a long time to develop it. For example, the reversal signals, that's something I still work on. It's kind of the secret sauce, so to speak. And I'll tell you just in general what it is. It's related to the MACD. There's an equation in here that tells the Bollinger Bands when the MACD is getting to a point of overbought or oversold. And it's divided roughly into the ATR systemic in a formula that goes in and says, okay, this is where this is overbought or oversold, and it will trigger the signals that you see on the chart right here. And for example, if it doesn't have an X, it didn't hit the exit band, and so you'll get a first signal, no X, and a second signal, or a second entry signal, and you'll get an X. And that's the rough way to kind of view and look at these reversal signals. And just a real quick overview on the momentum signals. We'll go down just a little bit here. You will see this other band in the bands. It's a little lighter, and this band will only appear on one side or the other. And the reason that is that is going to tell you if the bands are roughly in a bullish trend or a bearish trend. And when the bands are opening up on the opposite side of the price, for example on the top, you could think of it as pushing down the price. It will push the price in the opposite direction. And if it's opening up on the bottom, it will push price, or price is being pushed up. And the wider these are, the more you'll see the pressure indicator on the dash open up if you have that. And so that's kind of roughly what you're looking at right there. And so my momentum signals, they are going to be based on these momentum bands. And if that momentum band opens up right here at the same time this crosses the opposing band, you will get a MOM signal, momentum signal. And that is a developed signal that I made. I don't think that exists anywhere else on the market. If it does, I'm unaware of it. I'm going to take a drink here real quick. And this is being streamed live, so forgive me. I will probably get a little hoarse by the end of this, but I will try to plow my way through this as well as I can. Like I said, I am not the best video maker. Dre out there, man, Jerry's like the master of video, so my hat's off to him. The more I do this, the more I just respect the heck out of people who can do it really, really well. So in the guide, it does show you what the zero line crosses are looking at. Like right here, you can see exactly what this is doing. That zero line cross right there, signal, that's what you're looking for, say, this would be crossing up over the zero line, so that'd be a long, or in this case, it's a short because it's crossing down, so you get the cross down. Now, the thing that you will see on these is I do actually make them be confirmed by the momentum bands. So the momentum band has to agree in this algorithm of signals. So in some cases like this, there won't be a signal on the way up right here because you have that momentum band telling it no. So you have some signal algorithmic equations in there, but that's actually somewhat of a good thing, or should be. You can play with the momentum band as well and get it to where it's really not affecting it if you choose to. That is a setting inside of the bands. Feel free to play around with it. You'll see more signals pop up from these if you do. And some people, like I said, they love these signals. So I'm not going to knock anyone for using them, using those signals. The opposite side of that is the zero line cross. So the continuation signal. So right here you have the MACD signal cross here, and then it crosses back down here. And so you get a continuation signal. Not a great signal in general here, but Not a bad signal either. So if the momentum agreed over here, it may have up here. There would have been a continuation signal up here as well. This one might have been good for a scalp, but that is the theory behind it, and that's what I wanted to show you. All right. Let's see. Bars per minute. We'll get into that too. But first, let's go ahead. If you have downloaded the Chompsky Bands Pro, it'll be inside of the Chompsky folder. Do not pay too much attention to the bazillion indicators I have. I am working on a ton of indicators. Still, I do plan to add the pressure to the suite, as well as a couple others that I've been working on in the background. I have not released yet. I probably will put the pressure indicator out for suite holders as kind of a trial run on it, just to see what people think before too long. But as of right now, the suite does include, I believe, 7 or 8 different indicators, and it has several options, including the bands. So if you're looking into the bands, hopefully you can kind of gather some good information here. I'd like to kind of just show you briefly what I'm talking about when I see these filters. I have them set up now to where the universal filters are on top. So I do need to tweak one of these. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. I want to say it's the range tick separation. I think it doesn't affect the momentum, and it should. And I'm going to go back in there and tweak that, make sure that does do what it should be doing. And the other thing, I can't remember what it was, but I'll get to that eventually. So as of now, though, I do want to explain just a few of these filters, because people do not tend to know what this means when they look at them. And so the EMA filter mode is these two EMAs. You have a fast and a slow EMA filter. And so if you're familiar at all with EMA two-line cross, you should be able to go in and just pull up at 2 EMAs. And we'll go ahead and do that real quickly just so you can see. And give me just a second here. 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them at the same settings and change the color so you guys can see what exactly is going on with the EMA filter. And I believe it's a 25. We'll double check. 25 and 100. And we'll leave the fast one at blue and the slow one red. And actually we'll change the fast one to yellow, because yellow is fast, right? That's what I hear. So we'll go ahead and we'll make that one yellow, and the other one will be red. And we'll hit apply. Now what exactly are we talking about? So the yellow has to be on top for longs, and for shorts it needs to be on bottom. That is an EMA filter. And you can change the settings of the EMA to whatever you think is better. Some people use 100 and 200, and some people use much shorter EMA. It just depends on how fast you want the signals to trigger. And so what this has to do is it basically forces the indicator to be in sync with, or be filtering by the bias of the EMA. And so if you take it off, you'll end up, and a lot of this is going to end up with, we'll double check this. Yeah, see, it's not even affecting the reversals, but it will affect it with other parts of it. So I suppose the EMA filter mode, that probably should just be for momentum. But the rest of this is going to be for reversals as well, like the tick separation. So what that is actually talking about is if price is in a range at like right through here, you're basically telling the indicator you want this area right here to meet those separation requirements. And so we got a message right now on the Discord. Let's make sure everyone can get on. No access to me. I tell you what, already I'll give you access right here in the middle of this video, sir. Let's see here. Apologize, everyone. I know this is live streaming, but I want to make sure we get everybody in this that can be, and I want to make sure we have this. Let's see here. I tell you what, we'll pause the video and we'll come back. No, we won't pause the video. It's live. Can't pause it. All right. It's going to take a minute. No, here it is. Okay, so server settings. Let's see if we can do this roles. And we will give this guy here a... And you gotta have everyone in this. I want to make sure everyone gets in to watch it. There we go. All right. All right, you should be good to go. All right, everybody. Forgive me for that. I wanted to make sure we get all our new members in. We do have a bunch of new members, so thank you guys if you can hear me now for bearing with me. We're going to get back to this. And so, where were we? I guess we got to exit this over here so that'll run. All right, so as we were saying, if you're measuring this tick separation right here, you should be able to determine how many ticks this is just by taking the points and dividing it by 4. Every point is 4 ticks. And that should give you an idea of what you're looking at on that set of the filters for the bands. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, give us a like. If you're watching somewhere else, hit down in the comments, let us know where you're watching. All right, I'm going to go ahead and we'll see here. So if we change this tick separation right now, we could pull up the calculator just so you can see a little more visually. This is 10 points on that one, so we'll go ahead and divide 10 by 4, 2.5 points. So we know it's a little bit more than 2.5 points with 9 points. So 9.5, we'll put this back over here. Divided by 4, 2.3 points. And so we want to see how many ticks this is divided by 0.25, 38 ticks. So you want to see how many ticks it takes to get to that point where you're really filtering out some of these choppy areas. And so we'll put this at 45 ticks on the filtration here, and it should, if everything's working the way it should be doing, get rid of some of these choppy signals. And that range tick separation right there just did it. And as you can see now, we're just looking at some signals that are going to be more in what we consider trending areas. And so that's the point of the range tick separation right there. You can change and adjust that by using the fast EMA and slow EMA here. I know a lot of people like to play with this. They'll put it at like, say 100 here and maybe 200 here. And that's just going to have to come down to your preference of what you like. You can visually do that with this, with the EMAs as well. That's kind of, going to be up to you what really works better for your trading style, or, if you want to do fast trading, scalping, or trends. So if you change it to 100 and 200, you're definitely going to get much bigger separation areas. But when it doesn't trend, you're also going to get longer range areas. So you can cut out a lot of that too. And so if you are using the dash indicator, there's another way to look at this. And so turn on C dash if you have it. If you don't, you can stand by. This will be over in just a second. There is a place in the dash, if you scroll down, where it says enable color wheel signals. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. It's further down. Right here, color bars. So if you turn on the color bars in the dash, and you set the EMA mode here as well, what that will do is that should paint the bars in a color coordinating fashion that tells you where your signals are or aren't going to be useful. And so in this situation here, I don't really have it painted well. Let me try that again. All right, here we go. go down here, and then I'll change the range as well so we can really see it a little better. Where was that? It's kind of a ways down. Go back up a little bit more. Okay, color bars, and then you want to change that range separation maybe to 50. And we'll change the weak trend up to 52, just so it kind of makes more sense. And that will, it should give us some gray areas where our lulls are. And in this situation, I'm not seeing anything yet. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we are getting the gray areas. So that's really what you want. And then this, we'll change it from 100 to 200. And we'll make it about 60 here on the range separation. So now, doing this should actually paint out some of the ranges a little better. If it's really rangy, see right through here, you're going to get these gray bars. And I don't know if that's coming through real well, but it really, really has to trend pretty hard to get out of that. And then boom, you get right here, you're getting more into that trend. And that should kind of help visually. You can always pull the bands off as well if it's just not clear, so you can see it a little clearer. And that'll tell you really where you're going to be seeing trends or where you're going to be seeing those ranges. And I recommend playing with this until you get it to where you're happy with it on your chart. You might have to tweak it a little bit here and there, but overall it should kind of stick around to being somewhat the same. And this little box up here in the dash will tell you if the price action is in that trend or in that range as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump on to the indicator again. All right, let's make sure we have our microphone on. All right, microphone was not on in the Discord, someone told me, so give me 2 seconds here. I'm gonna turn that on. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue on with a couple more filters just so we can kind of touch base on a little bit more. Like I said, I really do want to get more down in better video format than this, not just live streaming format, but actual good, solid, professional style videos. That's a long-term goal of mine that I do want to knock out. So go ahead and jump on to the next set of filters, and that, if you look in the guide, we'll scroll back up here. And that is going to, we could actually look at these wave counters and the resilience, or use the minimum win rate or the EMA tick. We did talk about the tick and some of the range, trend, and bias. We could get more in depth into that, but first I want to kind of touch base a little bit more about what I like about the momentum signals, especially since the market has been kind of pushing a lot more momentum here lately. So I'm going to talk just a second more about those, and then we'll wrap it up. And so if you jump onto the band settings up here and scroll down to the momentum area, you'll see right here, you can see no video. Well, fancy me that. Everything on Discord has been interrupted here. So let's go ahead and stream again. All right, ready? Can you see me on Discord? Can you confirm, please? And am I working on YouTube? It looks like I'm working on YouTube. If you're looking at another format, feel free to post down below if it's not working. I want to get everything working. All right, I think it's going now. All right, guys, I'm going to continue, and then we'll wrap it up and let you get back to your weekend. So back to where we were, we're going to look at the momentum signal filters just for a moment here. You scroll down, it has its own area now, and you can turn on the enforce bias mode, and that's going to force those two EMAs that I have on the chart back there. The fast EMA must be on top for a long, and it must be underneath the slow EMA for a short. Pretty self-explanatory for those who are familiar with two-line cross theory. And so if you turn that off, you will get a lot more momentum signals, but it will also have counter trend signals to the EMAs. And so one thing you want to do if you're in working on your momentum signals is make sure you turn on the win rate calculators. And to do that, go to momentum and select the very top option right here. And if you open it up wide enough, it actually does say win rate calculators. And so what I will do is I'll enable that, hit OK, and there they are. And they should pop up right here. Now, like I said earlier, I don't normally use zero line cross or the MACD continuation signals. I just don't find a whole lot of value with them on my chart. I know a lot of people love them. For me, they just don't do it, so I don't usually use them. Although looking at this at a glance, I'm not disappointed in the win rate by any means right there on the zero line cross. That actually kind of grabs me a little. So maybe I'm sleeping on them, but generally I use the MOM signals. Turn the other two off, and to do that, just go to your momentum settings and you can click them down here and turn them off if you don't want them on, or you can use them if you want them. That's completely up to you. I'm going to turn them off though. And we'll basically just use, well, you know what, for the video, we'll leave them on. Why not? Nothing going to hurt. So, but what I will do is I will look at some of these filters for momentum so you can kind of get an idea of how to tune them. They're going to be pretty dynamic and different depending on how you want to tune them. So the ADX filter in general, if you don't want to use it, you can deselect this option right here, hit apply. And what that will do is it'll turn it off, and you'll see the change over here calculate, and it'll be pretty different. So we only had about 3 MOM signals before. We have 18 now. But what is that showing on a win rate? It's showing a 58% win rate. And you can see the signals, these golden arrows are plotting pretty heavily. I may go ahead and at least turn off the continuation signals just so we don't have so many on the chart. Maybe get a few off the chart. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now you can see we only have a handful showing on the chart of those golden arrows. Eventually I want to break out each signal type and have its own color and everything, but there's a lot of extra work that it'll take me to get to there. So as of right now, they're all combined into golden arrows for momentum. I don't tend to need more than one momentum signal type for each chart, so I'm not too worried about it, but it would be kind of nice to change that eventually. So the way that calculator is working, just so you know, go ahead and touch base on this real quick. You have a take profit and a stop loss, and these are set to ticks. So if you set this to 60 ticks, that'll be a 60 tick take profit and a 60 tick stop loss. And depending on your bar type, you may have to go in and adjust this accordingly. Especially if you're using a bigger bar type. I'm using about a 50 tick bar type reversal. That's the biggest my bars get. If you are using a different bar type, I highly recommend you at least use the minimum on the stop loss. And the reason for that is it can false hit a stop just because it's within that range of the tick and the bar, especially on historical. So I would definitely go ahead and push that 1 tick past the stop loss bar, the bar size, if you do use a bigger bar. And so, real quick, we just want to touch base on that so you kind of know what's going on. I'm going to leave it at 50 ticks for now, just because that kind of works better on my bar. You can go higher, you can go lower, it's completely up to you. You can change the risk to reward ratio as well, and it does tell you up here what your average should be based on what's going on, and some of that's because it closed out early. It might be a little bit off, depending on how you have your time set up, or if the bars are closing at the end of day or something. It could possibly trigger something odd like it is right there. But alright, so back on to the filters. We'll go back up here to the ADX and turn it back on. And if you ever use the ADX before, it does count upward, and you can get to where you have a threshold up or down. Okay, so we have 10 trades total now on there. But the up and down, you want to adjust that. Maybe you're finding it about a 10 on the threshold is what is the magic for you. This actually helped to put the ADX back on. I realize, and at least in win rate, you might be getting a higher quality signal if you do. Okay, so there we go. So putting it at 10, we dropped our win rate down from 60s to 56, and we did increase the total trade number, but the total trade number has more losses, so it does appear as though we were doing better with a higher ADX. I think it was at 18 to begin with. We'll change that to 15. No, we don't like that. Not any better. Talking about 20. And just pushing this up slowly, especially if you have enough enough days loaded. I can't talk. If you have enough days loaded for the data to be fairly accurate, that's really what matters. So what we'll do here is we'll kick it up for a couple weeks, 15 days total. And I know there was an FOMC here recently, so we'll have a ton of data to work with. All right, so now that's 15 days worth of data that this is going to be spitting out. Should be anyway. We're going to go ahead and make sure one setting is changed on this in particular in order to get more accurate results. And what you'll do is you will go down here to this setting right here. And this is only load the current day signals. If that is checked, you will only get today's signals or the current day signal showing, or the current day's signals showing. If you deselect that, it will take a minute to load because it is going to backload all the days and give you a lot more data. And so give it a minute on that. It'll calculate our 15 days worth of data, and it should tell us whether or not we are looking at winning signals for the past 15 days. Alright, so it did change quite a bit on what we're looking at here. We're going to go ahead and adjust it just a little bit. And we'll take that ADX threshold down to maybe 15 and see what we get out of that. And for those of you who have used the ADX and you know what it is, you should kind of already know just roughly. It's trying to tell us where trends are versus range and chop is. And it could be a lot more useful for momentum filtration, but it does not tend to help a lot, from my experience, with reversal signals. In fact, I'd say it killed the win rate pretty bad when I tried it with reversal signals, so I do not even tie it into that on the logic. And if you find that it helps you, I may eventually one day add it back, but my experience with it is not positive. So alright, so putting that ADX threshold up to 25, it did push our win rate on the MOM signals up. Unfortunately, zero line cross has not held up over the last 15 days. And like I said, I don't tend to see these signals really give me a lot, so I turn them off on the zero line cross or my chart. Every chart is different. If you're just using it for maybe a certain type of trading, and you find those zero line crosses really help in those situations, by all means, throw them on. No one's going to trade the same, so find your style, find your signal. Hopefully it's one of these. If it's not, you know, there's always the reversals, and then I have a ton of other indicators with a lot of other signals as well. So I like to have a box of different tools when I trade to choose from, and I try to match the market context up to those tools. And I use a bot to kind of enter my trades for me and manage them, called Predator. So I'm really trying to get as passive as I can be and hands-off as I can be. I just try to get the right settings tuned and the right indicators tuned up so I can use those tools as I see fit. And so I find that helps out with my psychological side of trading, and it really does kind of change the game just a bit. That's why I developed a lot of these indicators the way I have. There's a lot of options in these indicators, but at the end of the day, I know I do better if I just leave it alone after I've kind of tweaked it and set it up. So that's my approach right now. I'm kind of running off my own theories here, but so far, knock on wood, it's been pretty good. Just want to see it play out over the long term, like everyone else, you know. So anyway, we'll probably go ahead and wrap this up here. We touched base pretty thoroughly on a few of these settings. Hopefully people have a better understanding of some of this. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and look at the BPMs real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Because the BPMs, that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. It's a very unique indicator, and it's unique because I don't even think it exists outside of what I made, and someone else might have touched or made it as well on their own, and I just am not, I'm not aware. But BPM stands for bars per minute, and that is how many bars are printing per minute. And the way that equation works is this affects both reversals and momentum in the bands as well independently. And there's a look back setting for the divided factor of the bars per minute. And what it's doing is it's looking at the last 5 minutes worth of bars, and it is spitting out how many minutes or how many bars are printing in that time span you selected. And so if it's set to 5, you're basically getting the 5 average bars printing per minute. And to get a visual of that, I do have a BPM indicator. We will go ahead and pull that up and look at it. And that should kind of help some of you understand just a little bit more about the BPM indicator. We'll go ahead and put it on. It starts off with a default of 5. We'll go ahead and change the lower threshold to 0 and 15, I guess. I don't really think it matters too much, but we'll go, well, I tell you what, we'll put on 2. That way you can see exactly what these threshold lines are doing. And there's the visual bars per minute indicator. So this area right here on the screen is, if you look at the blue indicator, I'm getting the bands reloading, it's 15 days, so give it a second to catch up. There it is. So right here, this right here is averaging about 5 bars per minute. And as this goes back up, you can see here we kind of flattened out on our BPMs, and you can see kind of how this got a little bit choppier. Now this is not going to correlate with bias, but it will correlate with how fast or momentous, as that's the right word, how much momentum is in the market. And so as this goes up, a lot of times you will see these BPMs go up when the market's really pushing in one direction or another. And so there's a lot of buying and a lot of selling going on, pushing the market. And so you might find during something like FOMC, and that was on Thursday, you will see an insane amount of BPMs. And so you don't want to take trades when your BPMs are too high. Yeah, up here in the 25 area, this is probably FOMC right here. Let's see, 8:30. Yeah, I think it was FOMC. I can't remember if that was the time or if it was later. There was news somewhere in this area. But you can see when that news kicked up, the market just went crazy. It chopped around. You got insane amounts of chop throughout this area. You wouldn't want to be in a trade right there. I wouldn't want to be in a trade right there. And so the BPMs are spitting out this high BPM factor, and you can actually filter your band signals by that BPM setting just to say, yeah, I don't want to be in trades when it's this hot. You get slippage on a lot of prop firms. I know Apex, for example, they will slip the living crap out of you if you're trading during news. And even on the better, wow, look at that, up in the 40s. This is FOMC right here. 60 bars per minute. Yeah, you don't want to even take a trade there because it's going to slip you. And so, as you can see, my signals are almost completely gone through this whole FOMC news area because it was just too hot. And I prefer to not trade if it's that hot because you don't know. You might try to enter here, and because it's like less than 10 seconds later up here, it could easily slip you several points. And so that's one of the more cool, unique indicators that I've built into the bands. If you have the suite, you do have a copy of this BPM as well indicator, so you can visually see it. I do have a little bit of a signal built in here as well for tagging. If you use Predator or a similar bot, these tags right here, you can get in there and filter your trades by those as well, and use that as a unique filter. It's a different kind of momentum filter, a different kind of volume filter. It's not the same as a volume filter, but it definitely shows for anyone using non-time-based charts exactly how much you're getting out of the market at that moment, because it's going to shoot in one direction or another sometimes, and those BPMs can really change the game. And it's also going to show up here on the dash if you have that, the BPMs. along with the ATR, if you want to use the ATR, and you can customize this and pull whatever you want off of it or leave it on there that is built into it. But that's the BPMs in a nutshell. I do find the BPMs do vary a little bit differently on how I tune. When you're regarding reversal signals versus momentum signals, each market structure just does it differently with both. They treat different signal types differently. So I do have those individually, uniquely coded out on the band, so you can decide if you want a BPM setting in a certain way for your reversals, and then go to your momentum and change it to be unique for them. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up for now. Thank you for everyone who watched. I know I'm on a few different platforms. I'm not going to name them all. Just so everyone knows, I am doing a giveaway on Christmas, and if you want to be in that giveaway, I have a link in the description on YouTube and some stuff in the Discord. Jump on the X account, hit like on the pinned comment, and make sure you follow that account. That's all you need to do, other than follow Dre from TradeSaber as well on X, and you will automatically be entered for that drawing. Other than that, Merry Christmas and be safe and happy trading. I wish you success. Bye, everyone.